welcome back to the channel. First of all, a massive thank you to everyone who watched my last video. It was my first coding related video, and yeah, it's doing pretty well. It's sitting at 2,000 views currently, which may not seem like a lot for other people, but for me, whose channel has been going through a lot of different topics, it seems like I've landed on something which people are enjoying watching. We'll go through everything from which languages to learn, to resources which may be helpful, and just tips and tricks to help you make the process a lot more smoother. And I'll also be talking about how I actually learned to code in only 3 months, which may seem like clickbait, but it's genuinely not. But with that, let's go to the first topic of the video, and that's choosing a language to learn. I'm a firm believer that in order to learn to code, you have to stop dwelling on which language to use, but rather just start coding. There's so many languages out there, including Python, C++, C#, just to name a few, but the recommendation I always give is still JavaScript. This isn't to say that other languages are bad, it's just that most people get into coding not knowing what part they want to get into, whether it's front end, back end, mobile, machine learning, or anything else. And I think JavaScript covers all of these options. The good thing is that all languages are based off C, so they have similar foundational concepts, meaning if you do want to learn another language in the future, it's easier to do if you know one language thoroughly. Also, in a lot of big tech interviews, yes, you need to know how to code, but knowing the problem-solving process is a lot more important. Don't think you have to be perfect, just pick a language without overthinking it. Once you've chosen a language, the next thing to do is start learning the fundamentals. Let's say, for example, you want to learn Python. What I'd recommend is going on YouTube and looking at loads of different courses. There's so many great courses out there which are really beginner friendly. One person I really recommend is Programming with Mosh. He is one of the OGs in the coding YouTube game. You can find loads of great courses which are actually even free and really are top quality and can be considered university level. Try to focus on those beginner friendly options. So here's where you learn the fundamentals such as arrays, loops, data types, whether it's string, arrays, things like that, and that's just the fundamentals to actually get you on your journey. Also, another tip that I like to give is don't try to just code and follow someone's tutorial and just copy what they're doing, because that's not really how you're going to learn and you're just going to be wasting your time. What I tell people is try to actually figure out what the solution to the problem is before actually hearing the answer. And I think that's a really good tip, because when you're programming in the real world, it's all about problem solving. You don't need to be the best at actually coding in that language. You need to be a great problem solver to succeed. Also, one thing that you'll hear a lot of people say is tutorial hell. And what that means is where you keep following courses and keep following tutorials and you don't actually take action and start building stuff. Once you really understand the fundamentals, you don't need to be perfect at it, but have a good grasp of the actual knowledge, then go into projects, which I'll talk about what I've actually built, and I'll give you some recommendations if you're brand new or even if you have a little bit of experience in coding. Let's talk about projects now, and this is where most of the learning will happen. The best way to solidify your coding is to build real-world projects. I actually only created 4 main ones before applying for jobs, which was an API, a front end for the API, a portfolio website, and a mobile app. Each project helped me to apply those real-world development principles and actually improve my own problem-solving skills, which I think in the end is what allowed me to get the job. If you're a complete beginner, try to focus on simple projects such as a to-do app or weather app. My first project was a backend news API, and this was built using PSQL and Express and followed a lot of test-driven development principles with Jest and Supertest. And the aim of this is to mimic real-world services such as Reddit, and it handles a lot of different user endpoints and user requests very efficiently. Then obviously to interact with the API, you need a front end, which is where my second project comes into it. It is a React-based front end which allows users to read, comment, and like news articles. This project actually helped me learn a lot about API integration and state management and really helped me cement my front end knowledge. My third project was a portfolio website, which is one that is recommended a lot online. I actually use Astro for this, which is a language a lot of people may not have heard about. I also use a bit of TypeScript and CSS in this, and it's just a way to showcase my projects and my skills with a clean and responsive design. Lastly, and the project which helped me learn a lot, was an app called Culture Connect, which is a React Native mobile application and is for hosting and attending cultural events. It has lots of different features like authentication, integration of maps, live messaging, and event tracking as well. And the actual backend was powered by Supabase, which is a cloud-based backend. Let's talk about the best resources that I recommend now for programming. And I think number one at the top of the list, a lot of you may know this already, is FreeCodeCamp, because it does provide a lot of interactive lessons and is really fun and a good way to learn for free. You can learn pretty much all of the key concepts on FreeCodeCamp, and the best thing that I like about it is that it provides a very hands-on experience, meaning a lot of the things that you do on FreeCodeCamp you'll be doing in a real software engineering job as well. So that ranks at my number one for the best resource to use. If you want something a little more interactive, meaning that you are in the browser most of the time, you don't really need to worry about IDEs or other stuff outside of just learning to code, I would probably recommend Codecademy to you. Another thing that I see a lot of local governments and institutions do is providing free courses and free modules to learn how to code. I know that in the UK they provide fully funded digital skills bootcamps, which is a grant that the government gives you, and that just means that you can use that for any digital skill, but software engineering does actually come under that digital skills. If you are serious about transitioning into tech, I would say that bootcamps can also provide a great place to learn. Some of them are just too expensive. I think some of them are like even £9,000-10,000, which is just crazy. I would never spend that much money and I would never recommend that. But if you do find something which is free or something a bit cheaper, then try go for it if you want to. And I think the best thing about it is that it provides a structure to your learning. You can definitely learn the concepts outside of paying for a bootcamp or a course or something like that. The only thing that is providing you is accountability and that structure. You will see a lot of engineers talk about AI and the negatives of AI. And while I also agree to an extent, I also believe that AI can be a great learning tool. You can use it as a teacher, as like a virtual teacher. And I think that's the best way to use AI if you do want to learn to code. You won't be using it in your coding interview, so definitely don't rely on it, but use it as a way to prompt you to getting the answer by yourself. I think LeetCode has a really bad rep within the coding world. LeetCode is a really good platform to learn those concepts and to actually get that interview practice down, which is essential, of course, for landing a job. You'll be having to do mainly medium problems for that coding interview, and they can also be hard questions as well. So make sure you are using LeetCode in order to land that role. Thank you for watching this video. That is how I learned to code in 3 months using the advice that I'm sharing with you guys today. Just make sure that you're utilizing all of your resources and don't compare yourself to others. Just keep on your own journey and you will be able to land that first job in tech. If you do want to see more tech related content, make sure you do subscribe, leave me a comment down below and like the video as well. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next week in the next video.